In a small village in the Philippines, there lived a young boy named Mateo. Orphaned at a tender age, he was taken in by his aunt, Aling Nina. But instead of finding solace, Mateo faced hardship under her roof. Aling Nina and her family treated him as little more than a servant. He was given only scraps of food and lived in the darkest corner of the house. One rainy evening, as Mateo lay shivering on the cold floor, he made a decision. He could no longer endure the cruelty. He gathered what little he had and slipped out into the night, escaping the harsh life he knew. With nothing but a worn-out shirt and a small bag of rice, Mateo made his way to Manila. The city was a vast, bustling maze of streets and alleys, overwhelming to a child who had only known a quiet village. Desperation drove him to the streets, where he learned quickly that begging was a means to survive. Day by day, he wandered the city's corners, asking for coins and scraps of food, and sleeping wherever he could find a corner. One afternoon, as he sat beside a busy street, a grand carriage drew to a stop beside him. An elderly man, with kind eyes and a gentle demeanor, looked down at Mateo. The man's name was Don Ricardo, a wealthy but lonely old gentleman with no family of his own. Moved by the boy's condition, Don Ricardo took Mateo under his wing. He invited him into his opulent home, offering him warm meals, a comfortable bed, and most importantly, love and care. Don Ricardo saw in Mateo a chance to offer the companionship he had longed for and began to teach him the ways of the world, manners, education, and the art of kindness. Years passed, and Mateo grew from a ragged street urchin into a refined young man. He learned to appreciate the finer things in life, not for their value, but for the joy they brought. On his 18th birthday, however, tragedy struck. Don Ricardo was attacked by a group of robbers and, despite their best efforts, did not survive the injuries. Before he died, Don Ricardo ensured that his will was in order, and with a final, tender smile, he entrusted all his possessions to Mateo. The old man's relatives, who had ignored him for years, suddenly appeared, eager to claim his wealth. However, their greed was met with surprise when they discovered that Don Ricardo had legally bequeathed everything to Mateo. With nothing to gain from the old man's estate, the relatives left in anger and bitterness. Mateo, now the sole heir to Don Ricardo's fortune, made a decision that would change his life and the life of his past. He returned to his village, where he was greeted with the curious stares of those who remembered the orphaned boy they had once mistreated. Among the faces in the crowd, he saw Aling Nina. As she recognized Mateo, her eyes widened in shock. She struggled to comprehend the transformation that had taken place. With deep regret, she approached Mateo, her heart heavy with remorse for her past wrongs. Mateo looked at her with calmness that belied his suffering. "Aunt Nina," he said softly, "I have forgiven you. Life has been kind to me, and I hope you find peace as well." Though she was taken aback, Aling Nina could not deny the sincerity in Mateo's eyes. Overwhelmed by guilt and shame, she apologized for the injustices she had done. Mateo, now a young man of means and wisdom, chose not to dwell on the past but to extend a hand of reconciliation. He invited her to share in the blessings he had received, showing her that forgiveness was more valuable than revenge. Together, they worked to make their lives better. Mateo used his wealth to improve the village and help those in need, fostering a community of support and kindness. Aling Nina, for her part, became a better person, grateful for the second chance to make amends. In the end, Mateo lived a life filled with love and purpose, not because of his past misfortunes but because of the new family he had found and the grace he had chosen to give. The boy who once begged on